What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel for episode 12 of Divine Journey 2. In this episode, we get a ton of automation done using industrial foregoing. I hope you enjoy. Alright, let me catch you up on what I did in between episodes before we get started with today's automations. First, I extended my cables to connect up our other two drawer systems. This one's the automation room, and I also connected up the farm up yonder. Then I batch crafted a bunch more alloys so that we can keep our crafts going today. And finally, I worked some more on this building over here, and up near our crop farm. If you want to see that, go check out the building episode that I posted. It'll be titled something around like 11 build or 11B. Now, without further ado, let's get into the episode. Got some big news. I switched out my monitor. I got a new monitor so that now you should be able to see everything, including my map up here in the top right. You can see all of my bookmarks from JEI, and you'll also be able to see the full quest book. So that should help improve the quality of the videos. Let me know what you think down in the comments, but let's get started. The first thing we're going to need to do is get a couple more of these electrolytic cores that we crafted in the last episode. For that, we're going to need a few of these octadic capacitors, a couple more sentient enders, which are crafted just like this in the slice and splice. There we go. In order to turn these ender resonators into sentient ender, we're going to need some witch soul vials. So we're going to use the summon creature ritual from Roots. We just need a pyre with some catalyst plates. These catalyst plates are going to get some glass bottles, some sugar, some sticks, gunpowder, glowstone, and redstone. Then in our pyre we need to throw in the ingredients for the summon creature ritual. Hit that with a flint and steel. There's one, and two. That's more like it. Now we should be able to go ahead and craft up our couple more electrolytic cores. With these, we're going to need to make the electrolytic separator, the PRC, or pressurized reaction chamber, and the rotary condensator. For the electrolytic separator, we're going to need a steel casing, 2 dark steel blocks, 4 fluid tanks, which we are then going to upgrade to pressurized fluid tanks. Now we have everything we need for the electrolytic separator. The pressurized reaction chamber is going to need some of these ultimate gas tanks. So we got to start with the basic tier, then upgrade to advanced, elite, and ultimate. Along with an enrichment chamber, we can finally craft our pressurized reaction chamber. The last machine we need to craft here is the rotary condensator. We're going to need an ultimate fluid tank and an ultimate gas tank, and 2 ultimate control circuits. Now we can craft the rotary condensator. The quest reward for this pressurized reaction chamber actually gives us 2 enhanced machine chassis, so we're going to go ahead and claim that. Now we need to set up these machines. I'm going to get the electrolytic separator down on top, and we're going to get the unending bowl right here behind it. And then I need a little bit of fluid conduit to connect that up, and set that to extract always active. You should see that now we have hydrogen and oxygen in here. This electrolytic separator is very sided, so since the hydrogen is on the left, we're going to place our PRC on the left and configure it to input gases from the right. In this yellow slot, we're going to need some water, so let's hook up another fluid conduit. Okay, so these actually act funny. We're actually going to have to set this back up like so, and then we need to configure fluids to input from the top, and now we should be good to go. So what we're trying to make is substrate. We have the hydrogen and water, now we just need biofuel, which is going to come from putting some saplings in the crusher. And if we throw that into the input slot, it's going to take a second and process, and we're going to get our substrate. I also want to go ahead and mute both of these machines with my super sound muffler, as they can be quite loud. The next step of this process is going to be to make HDPE sheets. So I went ahead and made up another pressurized reaction chamber. This one's going to need liquid ethylene and oxygen. In order to convert this ethylene into liquid ethylene, we're going to set the gas output to down with auto eject on, and then throw down our rotary condensator. Then we're going to, actually, this one needs to have the input from the side. For that, we're going to need a couple pressurized tubes, and then we can toss one underneath here, and then the rotary condensator here. That's getting the ethylene now and converting to liquid ethylene. And then also mute the rotary condensator. Now we can pull that liquid ethylene out with a pipe straight into our second PRC. That's going to need a fluid input from the bottom, and then set extract all on this pipe. It's already filling with oxygen since it was on the right side of this electrolytic separator. Finally, we just need to throw our substrate in. and give it a little power. That's going to give us HDPE pellets, which we can then process through the enriching factory to get HDPE sheets. While those machines are running, we're going to need to craft ourselves up a vat. For that, we're going to need 2 fluid tanks, an industrial machine chassis, a simple powered furnace, and 2 dark bimetal gears. There's our vat. The vat's going to need some water, so we're going to piggyback it into this system here and give it a capacitor, some raw beef, and some nether wart. The output from the vat is going to give us nutrient distillation, which we're going to add to our HDPE sheets to get plastic. But first, we're going to need another fluid transposer. Now that I have an additional fluid transposer, I'm going to set this up just to the left of the vat. Then we need to configure the input. So it's going to input from the left, and the vat is going to need to push to the left, and that's going to get our nutrient distillation into the fluid transposer. Then I can toss in a full stack of HDPE sheets to convert to plastic. While we're waiting on that, we can craft up some Enderium. Enderium is going to need Enderium base, which is going to need these 3 ingredients in the alloy smelter. So let's toss those in. Now that that's done, we can put that back in the input with some sand to get the Enderium. Now that our plastic's done, we can grab that out. That quest gives us the industrial foregoing manual, so we'll claim that, and then combine it with our Akashic tome. The next 2 machines we need to craft are the tree fluid extractor and the latex processing unit. So let's get some Enderium gears, an XP tap, 2 machine cases, a fluid allocator, and we'll just snag this arboreal extractor here and use that to craft the latex processing unit and the tree fluid extractor. Now we can scrap this setup here. This next setup is going to be a little bit more permanent, so we're going to do it up here on the 2nd floor, and we're going to have a tree fluid extractor here facing into a log. Eventually we will have a block placer to place these logs, but right now we're just going to be doing it by hand. And our latex processing unit is going to go here. From there, I've dug out this little section in the floor. This is where we're going to have our conduits. Now you'll notice this is much bigger than this one tree fluid extractor going to this latex processing unit. And that's because we're also going to have 3 more tree fluid extractors here and 4 more here. So we'll be doing a total of 8 processes at one time instead of just 1. But for now, the setup is going to do just fine. So now we just got to configure this to extract always active. And with that, our latex is going to start filling into here. And we're also going to need an unending bowl here out the back with another fluid conduit to put water into here. Now we have both of our inputs, and we just need to get power ran. For now, I just have the power run up the back side here, and then we're going to plug in an energy cube here. A lot of our cabling is going to change once we unlock wireless, but for now, having an energy cube here with input on the back and output on the front is going to work just fine. And then I can just plug the power in with a few energy conduits across like this, all the way over to the latex processing unit. And now that's going to start making tiny dry rubber, which is then going to go into a sequential fabricator. We just need some item conduits on the back. And this one's going to be extract always active. This one's going to be on insert. And then we need to have input on the back of here. The sequential fabricator also needs power, so we'll run it up the back just like so. And we'll set the recipe to make dry rubber, which can output into an energized smelter to be smelted into plastic, but that's going to need a little power too. Then we're going to output out the back on the white channel into another drawer system over here along this wall. But first we need to filter the drawer. Now that's pretty much all there is to this setup. It is definitely a little messy right now. We're going to have to get some facades soon to cover all these cables up, but eventually you won't really see any of them except for maybe one here coming out of the wall and then a couple back here. And since these machines are horrendously slow, we're going to go ahead and get a second one down here. Now we need to start preparing to get some pink slime. So we're going to need to craft the mob slaughter factory. For that, we're going to need 2 green slime blocks, 2 swords called the Ender, another machine case, and now we can craft our mob slaughter factory. To get our mob slaughter factory up and running, we're going to need to get another mob farm. And for that, we're going to need another drop of evil. But we don't have the necrotic bones right now, so let's go kill some wither skeletons. Now we should have everything we need to craft this drop of evil. So let's go ahead and get that. And we're also going to take another detour because the process of getting wither skeleton spawns in this pack is painfully slow. So we're going to just take a detour and set up another mob grinder real quick. For that, we're going to want a mob masher with 10 looting upgrades and a few sharpness upgrades and also a few beheading upgrades, as well as 3 mob fans, one of which needs 3 width upgrades and 2 distance upgrades. Now I'm going to work within this crossroads right here as it's 7 blocks wide, and we're going to get started on this farm. Alright, I think we are fully set up and good to go. We may need to add experience. It could cause a little bit of lag over here, but we shouldn't have items piling up. I can put void upgrades on all these drawers, or I can just add a trash can with a negative priority, whichever way I decide to do it. But let's go ahead and get our drop of evil in and get this thing turned on. Alright, so let's go drop of evil, close it up real fast, and then we're gonna need to get outside, and there's a bat waiting for us. Okay, bat's taken care of. Alright, let's get outside, and we're gonna flip on all of our fans. That one's already on. Get that one on, and not there. That one on. And we should be up and running now. Mobs are dying, drops are getting picked up, and I am gonna have to add a trash can. Alright, I added the trash can in, but I don't have it enabled yet just so we can kind of filter out the last few items. I added a couple extra drawers down here. This is not a permanent setup, because eventually what we'll have this item conduit do is send everything back to the overworld, and then we'll have this hook up to one of our other drawer systems, or our ME system somehow. But I just wanted to get everything filtered on this first, and then we can enable the trash can. Now we should not have to worry about any of this stuff anymore. We're going to get all of it passively. So let's head back to the overworld and get back to what we were doing. Alright, so I just experienced a crash. I think it's lag related due to the amount of experience orbs in the world. I do have 2 mob farms that are overflowing with experience right now. So we're going to solve that problem with an experience obelisk. As you can see, this needs a reinforced large drum. So we will claim that from the Mob Slaughter Factory quest. Then craft a soul machine chassis, 2 energized bimetal gears, a tome of knowledge, and our experience rod, and finally the experience obelisk. Alright, so this is our new XP system over here in the overworld. I just have a fluid conduit going out of the bottom of the absorption hopper. That's going to feed into this iron drum first, and then the experience obelisk if there's no room. This experience obelisk has essentially infinite storage, so we can just leave that as it is, and I'm honestly just going to go and store all 90 something of my player levels in it as well. And then we're going to pop over to the nether real quick and give this one a fluid trash can with fluid set to up. Now that our XP lag issue has been fixed, we're going to set up our mob slaughter factory right here. This is just to the right of the mob farm. And we're going to add a drop of evil on the inside. Seal that off. And then connect up power. So now this mob slaughter factory should be running. And we just need to get a range upgrade on it. There we go. If we show working area, it's going to cover that entire 3x3 box. So now we have pink slime in here, and we're going to want to pull that out and put it into a Naiad. Alright, I have this set up now. So I have some pressurized fluid conduits, since the regular fluid conduits respect the flow of gravity. So these will actually pull it out and send it up. I just have this tank here as kind of a buffer because the conduits filled up before I could actually connect them all the way up. But that runs over here to the Naiad, and I just have all these signs here to kind of block the fluids from flowing freely into the world. And then the pink slime goes into here. That's going to place it on this block. After a little while, the pink slime will then spawn a pink slime mob into the world, which will get pushed into the mob masher and killed, and then it's filtered over there in the drawer system. So let's see if I can actually show you this work real quick. If I set this extract always active, that should fill this Naiad up with pink slime, and then it places it right there into the world. And then it takes a little while, so I'll cut back whenever the slime spawns. Okay, the slime spawned, and it got killed by the mob masher. And currently I have the item output on this thing disabled, just so if I did drop any items in there on accident, they wouldn't get destroyed. But we are getting pink slime now, so I can change that back to item. It's going to get put into there, and then put into the drawer system. Relatively simple setup, but it did take me a little bit of trial and error because I had this set up with regular conduits at first, which could not handle the gravity, and then the Naiad also wanted to place and flow all over the mob farm. But we should be good to go now. Now if I combine some pink slime with some mithril and the alloy smelter, we'll get a pink slime ingot. Next up, we're going to work on our buffalo farm. For that, we're going to need an animal feeder, a mob crusher, a sewage composter, an animal sewer, and also an animal baby separator. In order to craft these items, we're going to need 2 leads, some conveyor belts, 5 machine cases, an animal rancher, 2 simple Stirling generators, which we're then going to upgrade to the regular Stirling generator, the Ender, a Franken zombie, Killer Joe, 2 mithril gears, a piston, some grass. Now that we have all of our materials for our machines, we can start crafting them up. So first we're going to get the animal feeder, and then the mob crusher, along with the sewage composter, the animal sewer. Okay, we do need another one of these, so let's just craft this one on the fly real quick. Get our fluid tank, and then need some more dark steel bars. I should have some more dark steel over here in the alloy smelter. We'll throw this dark steel back in the system. What am I missing? Tank. Sometimes these act weird with the MBT data, but there's our animal sewer. And then finally we can craft the animal baby separator. I also forgot this item. This is just an adult filter for our mob slaughter factory. Alright, and this is where we're going to be working for this setup. We're going to do a little buffalo farm right here and have that pumping in the drawers. Oops, I put out a piece of plastic. Let's go ahead and get another acacia log in here. I did want to actually point that out, that while I was waiting for the plastic, I realized that acacia logs can actually give you 3 millibuckets per 5 ticks, whereas all the other logs give you a little bit less than that, and spruce is only at 1 millibucket. So that's a big help, especially when you're placing them all in by hand. Later, once you have it passive, it's not going to make that big of a difference. But for this setup, we're going to want our animal baby separator. Over here with our animal baby separator, we're going to get in our mob crusher. And then in the big pen, we're going to have our animal sewer and our animal feeder. And I think this one's going to actually need to be turned around so that it's facing away, but I'm not too sure about that. I guess I could show working area. And it is going to need to be placed in the center here as well. Okay. So then we need to craft up some range upgrades for all of these. And I actually already crafted up the adult filter for this mob crusher. Each of these machines on this 5x5 pin are going to need a range add-on tier 2. So we can add those in here. And then if I show working area now, it's going to cover this entire area. And then our mob crusher is going to need a range add-on tier 1 to cover the 3x3 area. I'm also going to go ahead and get the sewage composter down right here. And then we need to connect up power to each of these machines. And then we're going to need to get fluids from our animal sewer over to our sewage composter. So we're going to run the fluid cables like this and make sure we're always extracting fluids. And then we're going to need to bring items from the mob crusher to the drawer system, as well as from the sewage composter, and then place a few more drawers down and lock those guys up. That should really be this setup complete. Now we just need to fill the floor back in, and then the walls. Then we can use our soul vials to bring over a couple of buffaloes. I'll call you Jim and Todd and Lily and Beth. Now Jim, Todd, Lily, and Beth here, they really want some wheat. That's what they need to get their action. So we're going to give them some of that in the animal feeder. Whenever they give babies from the animal feeder, they will come over here into this separate machine from the animal baby separator. And then the mob crusher has an adult filter. So once these guys grow up, it's going to kill them. And the sewer down there is collecting sewage from these guys and pumping that into the sewage composter to give us fertilizer. Then if we throw some pink slime ingots that we crafted earlier in the alloy smelter with some grains of pizzality, we'll get some crystalline pink slime ingots. We can combine those with some fertilizer to get crystalline brown slime ingots. Now that we're getting into a fair amount of automation, I want to get a little bit of passiving set up for some of these basic materials. We're going to do sand, cobblestone, gravel, glass, silicone, and stone. And for that, we're going to need an igneous extruder and 5 material stonework factories. For these machines, we're going to need 2 compressed obsidian, a redstone reception coil, and then we can craft our igneous extruder. On top of that, we're going to need 5 more pink slime ingots, 5 machine cases, 5 dark picks, 5 simple alloy smelters, 5 simple crafters, and then our 5 material stonework factories. And we're going to get these down over here in this room. We're just going to move over to this wall. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 material stonework factories. And then we'll go with our igneous extruder here. We're going to set the igneous extruder to cobblestone, then give it a bucket of water and lava, then hook power up to each of these machines. Actually, here we're going to have a compacting drawer filtered for cobblestone. Each of these material stonework factories is going to need some item conduits connected to the back. One of these is going to need to be on furnace mode. That's going to give us stone, and we can filter the drawer. The next one's going to be on grind mode. That's going to give us gravel and filter the drawer. The next one's going to be on grind. That's going to give us sand, and we're going to filter the drawer. The next one's going to be on grind smelt. If we turn that on, it's going to give us glass, and we can filter the drawer. And the last one's going to be on triple grind mode. That's going to give us silicone, and we're going to filter the drawer for that one as well. Finally, we need to run a little bit of frame trim across the top to connect these drawers to the drawer system. The last thing we're going to do in this episode is filter the rest of the drawers for our buffalo drops. We get buffalo teeth, hide, meat, and then solidified experience. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do like we have in the past few episodes. I'm going to claim all of my unclaimed quest rewards. We have quite a few in multiple different chapters. And then I'm going to show you what I get. And then after that, we're going to end off. All right, everything you see here in my inventory above my hotbar is our claimed quest rewards. We got some pretty good stuff in here. It's definitely going to come in useful in the next episode. But that's all I got for you today. Let's end the episode off with Jim, Todd, Lily, and Beth here. Not going to give me a moo? Okay, guys. Well, if you liked the episode, make sure to drop down, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And goodbye.